Welcome back, everybody. This is week 3 of our mini webinar series. And this week we will be speaking on creating online assessments again. But this week we'll be using another one of my favorite websites, which is Edulastic.com. So, this website differs from Quizzes. It's not as gamey, it is more of an assessment website. So, in recent history, for me, the students definitely choose Quizzes over Edulastic, but I know it's simply because it feels more fun. The colors are vibrant. Edulastic is more straightforward, um, very mellow colors. I think it's just white and black essentially, with some green. And um, but to me, when I'm ready to do something serious, I put it on Edulastic because now the kids, it changes their mind frame. All right, so with that being said, we're gonna hop right in. So, Edulastic.com, another site that you do have through Clever. Although I suggest doing Google, signing in with Google. And the reason I suggest that is because if anything does happen with Clever, the students will still always be able to sign in with Google if you go through Google. So for the beginning of this school year, signing in through Clever, I was having problems. I had set it up with Clever and everything, and I was like having the problems, kids not getting in, things like that. I said, all right, well, let me scratch that and let me just do sign in with Google. And once you log in, mine is going to automatically log in. Um, but I'm actually going to log out again really quickly so that you can see the screen you would see the first time and also the screen the students will see. So this green screen is where the kids will get brought in, right? So again, you're going to want to stress once you first start using it, you sign in with Google, okay? Signing in with Google is key instead of Clever, and then we don't even have Office 365. All right. So now, as you can see, this is my dashboard. I have 4 classes already set up. That's that first thing you want to do. When you get a dashboard, I'm pretty sure it says manage classes before anything. So what I do is, as you can see, it says bulk sync, and you would just choose to sign in with Google. It'll ask you to log in. And because I already have mine, boom, it pops up all of your classes with their codes, right? And you will just go through. And the key is it starts with them all selected. Turn them all off first. Then go choose whichever classes. So I got 4 classes. So those are the ones I'm going to choose, which I've already done so. But let's say this was another class. You have the ability to change the name in here. All right, so you can choose the grade, which is these things that will be important for looking at data later. You can choose the grade. If they're more than one grade, that's fine. You can choose their subject. And then they have standards based off of like just standards the whole US uses. So I know like for math we use Common Core, but I do know everybody has. I don't know if this is a real thing or not for Maryland social studies, but I'm just gonna choose it, right? And then you would choose like the grade, the subject based off the grade. So again, I don't really know for social studies. I just know like math. But if I did do social studies, Maryland social studies, cool. And that's going to be used later on to look at data. So you click import. You got to give it a few moments. Boom. So now I got this new class updated. All right. So when I go to my dashboard, now I see 5 classes because I got this new class of test class of my test class that I put in there. So now let's get to what we actually came here for. You got all these little tabs. I will go and explain them. The little clipboard is assignments that you've already given out so far this year. And Edulastic has changed face a lot since last year, so it's a good opportunity just to review stuff anyway. So a lot of changes. P, you can see the P is practice, meaning it was not graded, and the A is assessment, meaning it was graded. Like, and the kids, I believe, will know the difference when they see it. Um, you can see who was assigned by, obviously by me. If it's done or not, the amount of students that took it in each class, and then different actions like going to see the live class board versus the standard based report. And we'll get into that. This is another reporting system. Now, we only have the ability to use one unless you pay, I think it's like $100 to upgrade, and then you have all of these different data points. If for some reason you just you weren't ready to build your test, but you just wanted to build questions first, then you would go here to Item Bank, click New Questions, and you can easily just start adding questions. Or if you wanted to add some questions to a folder, you can add them to a folder so that you can go back to them later on. Now, actually creating our test, which has also switched from last year to this year. I'm going to pop in. Now, if you have a test in PDF form already, you can upload it if it's already in PDF form. So now, if you are just creating your own assessment, well, let me make sure I went to the right one. Yeah, so let me hop back. New test, create test from scratch. All right, so we name this Edulastic Training, other for grade, other for subject. And I could put tags if I want to. But they already have pre tags that I can put, so I'll put professional development. So now, adding items. It's two choices. So just as I showed you, adding those questions, you may have decided to go ahead and add questions first, which is perfectly fine. To create questions before you actually create your test. That way, when you go do the test, you simply just will go to authored by me, and all the questions you made will pop up here. I don't have any questions made, which I do, but because the shift over, I don't think it. I know I don't have nothing labeled as other or other subjects. So yeah, these are all questions made by me, right? That will pop up for me to use at any time that I need to. All right, so also if somebody shared something with you, so these are questions that were shared with me. All right, so a few things. You can easily find things for your grade. If I was a sixth grade RELA teacher, wait, what happened? I did not mean, entire level. Sixth grade RELA teacher, I would choose sixth grade, I would choose ELA and Common Core ELA, I think is what y'all use. And then you can even go to specific standards. So I have no clue. Let's say this AC, the college and career readiness, that part, and then we're doing speaking and listening, and we finished the unit, so I'm choosing multiple standards or at least a part of the unit. So now all these questions only align to those standards, and from the things I could tell, it's a whole bunch of questions, right? And so now you can go even deeper. How do you want it? Do you want it to just be recall, skill or concept, strategic thinking, or standard thinking? All right. Or you can even shift the difficulty. Is it easy, hard, medium? We go to hard questions, and then I mean, obviously you as a teacher can decide, are these questions really hard? I mean, these multiple choice, so is multiple choice hard? Who knows? I mean, it all depends on your your class, right, and how you determine if something's hard or not. Um, Strategic thinking and hard. So now we already have questions that you can find that are passage questions, and the students have to answer by writing. So now let's talk about us creating those multiple choice questions and different things. So you would choose create a item, and multiple choice is always at the top. You have your choice between multiple choice, multiple selection, true or false, block layout, which is still just multiple choice, um, true or false table, um, also match the table, and these are just match the labels. But we all know these are like your type 1 questions. All right, so let's go and play around with it. Um, so your table, whatever your question is, true or false, is what we would type in, and that would be the question. And then your stems, the sky is blue, the grass is green. All right. And then if you don't want more, you don't have to have more, but you could also add more choices. And unlike Edulastic, you can add as many as you wanted. So if you only wanted to have, if you wanted to make one true or false section and one problem, and you knew you wanted 15 true or false questions, you can easily enough come and make this table and do 15 choices, and they all would be true or false, right? Or whatever you need it to be. And again, you can add more stems. So you can make this table super big. It could be if you knew you did 7 problems and all of them equal out to either 1 through 10, you can literally do 10 choices, put the answer at the top, and then your 7 problems or your 10 problems could be the problems that equal that number. Does that make so? Um, Instead of the sky is blue, 1 plus 1 equals, and somewhere over here will be a 2. So then when they're doing the test, they should be clicking 2. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Um, and if needed for these tables, you probably don't need it. You can always add a alternative answer. And that in that case, you would just be adding a alternative answer choices. But it may be needed, maybe not. Um, Multiple responses. That means they could choose both. They could choose 2 for 2 for both of these. Like 2 could be used more than once. This is just another reason why distractor. So this is if you, yeah, like if all the answers aren't. So if you made it multiple choice and you knew some of them were going to be 2 and another one is 4, but you knew the problem they could think it's 4, you would say why people chose, why you might choose 4. And then just another opportunity to answer why, explain why the answers are correct. And you can even add hints to the problem. You can add as many hints as you want. Cool thing about hints is you can add like a link to, I believe, to like a blog or like a picture or YouTube. You can just add a picture, and these all will be links. I know you can add video. Again, you can place the URL for the video, or you can upload the video directly into Edulastic. And again, these are just you have all the different type of math tools that you may need to put there. And these are just to help. Those are hints, right? So if you got the first week or first few days of trying something new, and you know you might want to upload your lesson that you recorded, you can just upload the video, boom, add it in there, and then you can just add it for each of the questions. You can continue to add the video each time so that they can refer back to it. Well, when you're done, you click preview and you can see what it looks like for your students. All right. And you show your answer. We know that's supposed to be the answer. So we're not making that. Let's cancel. Oh no, why did it? Oh, I didn't mean to cancel my home test. Um, all right. So now, the great thing about Edulastic, it was the closest to coming to being like part or MCAP, as we call it now, because it has so many different question options. So you have fill in the blanks where it's a drag and drop, your drop down, text entry. Even for our social studies classes and science classes, you have drag and drop with images, um, which for math I've never actually tried, but thinking about graphs and the fact that I can't do it in class with them, I probably will uh, try and look at one of these areas. So you would upload the image and let's see. So a problem. I not have one. I'm thinking about it in my head, but I gotta get it. Okay, this one. So this is the problem. If I said, uh, if I wanted them to put a point, well, let me see. How can I ask the question? Oh, here are the possible options. If I wanted them to make a point to make this line no longer be a function, and I gave them drag and drop ordered pairs, well, now I can add, I can say it's two things that need to be done. One, they need to move the order pair to where it should be, and they need to choose the correct one to move. So, trying to figure out. First time ever really playing around. Oh, there they are. All right, so you would drag 0, 5 to where 0, 5 should be, which is here. And it may not be letting me. Oh, I would just drag it here, right? And the question would be which one of these would take up the point. So before they drag it there, they can go see, okay, 0, 5 is here on the graph. So that means this is not a function because the x's overlap. So that must be the answer. And then they can try another one. 3, 4. Oh, well, nothing's here, so that still lets it still be a function. And it's that simple. Shuffle possible responses, transparent possible responses. I don't know why you would want that or wouldn't want that. Uh, and then you just make sure you select your correct responses. All right, so just continuing to get into our, I think it's gonna make me start over my test again. Yep. So maybe I should even, instead of playing around with this test, let me just stay over here with creating new items. So we looked at our drag and drop down. We know we can label. Um, there's a math text and drop down box that may help with putting in math problems. Editing text for RELA or for social studies when they're annotating. We have classify and matching, which I always love for vocab to start. And then also there are different math problems that are similar. It's a really quick way to just give them a few, like 4 or 5 math problems in one problem, and they got to solve all of them. But you can do this with characters of a book, historical figures and their dates, or historical events and their dates, multiple different things. This is a really cool one, the classification, because it's almost like vocab, but it can be so many things because you title your, if you have 1 row and 2 columns, right? So where's column 1? So columns, it can be Civil War and Revolutionary War. And now you have the opportunity to do these choices. You can put dates. You can put dates, 1853 for whatever, and like put like what signified it, what happened on that day. 17, what 70? I know 6 is when we got the independence, so sometime in that year. Uh, and you can again have reasons why. So now the question is, place the information with the correct war, and you're dragging and dropping. Right? They put that there. Put this one here, and you make the in mine because I like doing partial credit. I always make it however many questions they're answering. So since they're like 4 different drag and drops, I will make this worth 4 points. So that way, when they if they do 2 right and 2 wrong, they still get 2 points. Um, and again, hints and all those are available. Um, and now this is already past that type 1 and into type 2 questions. All right, let's go keep looking. Resequencing timeline type question, which again, this just helps with that comprehension so much. It helps in math because steps of a problem, right? And if you think about the other subjects, you think about 8th grade, they learned the what's the thing called scientific method. We know, I think it's like 10 of those. They got to be in order, right? So you can do that. Um, and when you put them in, they start out shuffled, and it's up to the students to get them in the correct order, right? So timeline of events for some event that took place, the timeline of events of a book in a chapter. There's just so many just different tools, and it's such a great way to teach, to ask and allow the kids to show what they're really learning. Um, Still, again, that's definitely past type 1 into that type 2. So now we get into the writing, short response, and also the essay. So this is definitely way more when it's on the what's it called, your relist, because you can add your passage over here, and so you can ask the passage, and then you can have them just respond, or and you allow them to say how many words or whatnot they can use. And then again, I'm trying to figure out the difference between the two. Um, oh, this one allows you to copy and paste from the, and you can have it there or you can take it off, but it allows them to copy and paste. I think this one is built more for if you put the annotation. I mean, not the, if you put the actual prompt in there for them to read. Definitely starting to get into, whereas this one is I guess you could cut and paste as well, but you could do, let me see for students. You just have more freedom to write. This is definitely more essay style with the essay with rich text. Whereas the other one may be, I want you to find things about from the text and put it there. And then you always have short response, and this is where you just ask your question and they simply just answer right in there. It's not as much as um, it's not the same as doing the short essay because you actually can like one, you can leave it unscored for practice usage, or you can put what the answer should be, and you can enable auto scoring or you can take it off and enable scoring instructions, and then you put how it should score it. So here's the one that I was trying to look for, and that's the passage where you give them the actual passage um, title, put in the actual passage, and they'll be have a chance to read the items. I don't have any items to put in there. So again, still just opportunities for the students to annotate. There are many, many different math problems that helps it begin to be um, much higher than that level one into that tier two. Their graphing matrix for that as well. And then finally, that type three, you have the multi-part, which you can add. You can do a math problem where there's a text box, and then there also maybe math before. Um, so this one has a text box entry, a text drop down, a math input, and math input with units. So there are four different questions. And the first one, the students have to actually put an answer, and then they have to choose an answer, and then explain, and then also choose an answer and put the units with it. And still the same part here. This is a multiple one where you would go in, choose multiple choice first if you wanted to, um, and then you'll have opportunity to add more type of questions to it. So the only other things I want to show you with this website, few things, right? Let's say on Tuesday you're ready to use it, and you go and create this activity. Well, you got 35 students, but then on Wednesday a new student joins. So the next time you go to use Edulastic, you have to make sure you sync your classes beforehand before you assign the assignment, because that's the only way that it updates. You would just make sure nothing is selected that you don't want to be selected. And this is actually important. So the way you sync it is you go into each class and you just sync it. And once you sync, it'll update any students that need to be added. It actually will tell you if anybody needs it had been added. So nobody had to get added for that class. And again, the reason you do this is that way that new student that you just got joined would get added and you wouldn't have nothing to worry about. So actually, I just added one person to this class because I was at 35 and now I'm at 36. So the next time I do something with that class, that new student will be added and I won't have to worry about making sure they're in the class, getting the assignment. That's normally the first key. If a student says they don't see an assignment, it's because they're not synced. Because the day you did it, they might not have been synced for whatever reason. This is also where you can come add co-teachers to the class so that they can assign tests. and they can make sure people are in, and they also can view reports and different things like that. And that's also where you would go to get rid of a class. You will archive them. Cool thing about Edulastic, before you do most things, it makes you type the word. So there's no way that you could think you didn't mean to do it. So now, well, I'll start from the dashboard. You get in your dashboard. Let's say these students are working on it. You have the opportunity. This is a live stream. There's a line here that tells you the amount of time is being taken. So I can clearly see without even going to it, problem 8 took the longest for this class. All right, there are 18 questions, so I can go all the way up to 18 and I still see problem 8 is by far the longest problem. And go say, now it tells you in seconds, so you'll have to just switch it into minutes by dividing by 60. But I can see, and then it lets me know how many got it correct, how many didn't even try it, and how many got it partially correct. No, how many got it completely incorrect, partially, and then correct answers. And the gray lets you know that means it was skipped. On this assignment, I didn't have any manually graded problems, but if I did, it would be blue, and it would be waiting for me to go put a score in. Another cool thing is when you choose certain standards. So I had 2 standards. You can see specifically which standard, how the students did on each standard, which questions they fell under which standard, and it lets you see that mastery level. Um, so A is approaching, E is exemplary, M is met, and N is not met. So I had 6 students of this class meet the approach, but not meet. I had a few students not meet. It's supposed to put it in order. I don't know why it doesn't, but you can still go through and see. I think this is the only way. Will this be even put it in order? No, this still don't even put it in order. Oh yeah, it does. Okay, so when I go to, you can easily see by the score, but I just also, as we do with Park, we like to see that met, not met, and our benchmarks and things like that. So I had 2 students who actually exceeded expectations. 1 student met. I had a group of them who approached, and this is going off of 80 to 90 is met, 90 or up is exceeded, and 79 to 60 is approaching. Anything below 60 is not met. And actually, you see them for the different ones. So that wasn't for the whole test. That was simply for that problem, seeing who met. So now I have 2 new students who exceeded, and then 3 other students who exceeded versus the whole test. Um, Now, when assigning the test that you created, so when I'm ready to assign, you can choose the class you want to give it to. You can choose more than one. So if you got a whole bunch, right, you can choose more than one. You can choose to assign it to a single student in the class or multiple students. You can choose the open and close date. Now, what confused me is that they actually count seconds too. So the first time I just did these 2, but this is the hour column over here. So at this point, if I assign this, it's going to open at 5 a.m., 5:12 a.m. with 13 seconds. All right, and that automatically. Now I can choose to only open it manually at class, and now those times and dates and things don't really matter because I chose to open it manually anyway. Same thing with the close date. It can close, or I can close manually in class. If you want to go ahead and assign it to all your classes at once, then I would say choose to open manually. That way, it's not opening ahead of time for a class, or you just go one by one assigning it to each class, and then you assign it with a time. And then this is that difference between the actual assessment and practice. So if you give it as practice, it'll have that P, and that lets you know it was just a practice. And later on, you might give it as an actual class assessment. And as you can see down here, with practice, normally you can release the scores. You could choose don't release the scores. So practice, I would release them. When it's not practice, I wouldn't. Again, cheating. What I learned, I'm doing. Whew, sorry, y'all. We're yawning. Um, what I learned was the students who would finish. I mean, I really had a kid who didn't care about his score, failed, and then share all the right answers. Because on this one, you can't choose. If you release the scores, they see the answers. Only way you can take that off is if you upgrade, which I mean, I'm not upgrading. So I just choose not to release the scores. And if students ask me, I can tell them, or I'll release it once the test is over, and then you can go check your own score, right? But when it's practice, you can release the scores. You have partial credit, I think is one of the coolest things they have. So you can do all or nothing, where you right or wrong. Partial credit, but do not penalize for incorrect selection. That's important if you want to give partial credit. Let's say like that one I showed where it was 4 choices. You give them the opportunity to get, if they chose 2 correct, then cool. But if you only have partial credit on because they chose 2 wrong, they still would get a 0 because it's like +1 for getting 1 right, -1 for getting it wrong. Whereas if you do partial credit, do not penalize for incorrect selections, then they still would just get their 2 points. So I personally like that one a little bit more. And again, you can see down here the mastery scale. So 60 to 79 is almost, 80 to 90 is mastered, and 90 to 100 is exceeded. So as I said, these different things: shuffle the questions and choices, high answers, rubric grading, show calculator. Those all come with the upgrade, which is like upgrade now for $100 a year. All right. I don't have a license, so I can't do that. So once you assign, like I said, I don't have any that are actually live, but this all does update live as the students answer. So one thing I don't do, when I was in the building, I would show it, but the kids like to see exactly what problems they were getting right or wrong. And so for me, I had to, I don't show that screen because I don't want them just looking up to see if, like, click in an answer, see if it goes green or red. But you can use it as a teacher and say, hey, if one problem is looking really bad, you might say, hey, everybody might want to go look at number 7, and you don't say who got it right or wrong. You just tell them they might want to review that. Other than that, I think that's it for Edulastic. Really good tool, really helpful. It's, like I said, much more of a testing tool than quizzes is, but you can build those type 1, type 2, type 3 problems on both. And I do jump between both. Those are my 2 favorite websites to use. And so I hope this PD, this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.